Episode 2 of The Mandalorian is in the books. And guess what, Jessica? Twice the confusion for you.
I know a couple more things than last time.
I bet the joke or yoke is going to be on you.
You're stupid.
Welcome back to Eye to Eye, Disney for Our Eyes. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Jessica.
And it's time for us to review another episode of The Mandalorian. This time, not episode 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. And it actually has a name this time. Did you not? Wow. Look, we're like, what, 30? I don't know.
Okay,
I don't have a watch on.
I knew that it was chapters, not episodes. I
Did you not
was so proud
see
of
the
that.
title like come across right then, too?
I saw it say The Mandalorian. Kyle, I was so ready with my notebook and my pen.
She is on the ball tonight. She still is just so confused.
I'm not. I'm going to do better this episode. Chapter.
We shall see,
Show.
young Padawan, okay? Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
But this
Hit me.
one's called The Child, and I think it's a
Do
very
you know that?
it's a very appropriate title, correct?
Correct.
Because we get to spend a lot more time with what the bounty was.
The child.
Baby Yoda. And by the way,
But we don't actually know that that's what he is. We're just calling him Baby Yoda.
and I guess that we should have done this a little bit earlier, but as always in this, as it's on our thumbnail, everything, this is spoiler filled, so if you haven't seen episode 2 yet, do not watch this, go away. But what are you doing with your life if you haven't watched it? So I guess I shouldn't say that to all our UK friends who are not going to get to see it till March, but
Well, they probably wouldn't be watching this review.
you never know. They probably just can't stand to wait any longer.
So, The Mandalorian, Chapter 2,
Chapter
something
2,
about the child.
Something about the child.
Okay.
So overall, here's my thoughts. Very compact story.
Liked it.
Instead of just like zooming off into the world with his bounty, we actually, I mean, that's what he's trying to do, but we have to hit pause for a second and say,
Mhm.
okay, here's another scenario for you to have to work around.
Right.
So I thought it was a good character building moment for the Mandalorian.
Right.
Also for, I'm gonna call it Baby Yoda for
That's all we can
simplicity.
do.
Baby
Yeah.
Yoda, just for simplicity's sake. So Baby Yoda as well. We learn a little bit more about him in this,
Right.
or her, or whatever.
I think it's a him.
Yodel, I don't know.
Anyway.
We learn a little bit more about that, and we learn a lot more about a small section of Star Wars like mythology and history in terms of like
You talking about the Jawas?
Jawas. Just they're like ingrained in our nature as like Star Wars fans for like Tatooine and the sand and all that kind of stuff. And now we kind of know a little bit more about them. So that's what I love about this. What were your like general thoughts about it?
So, I was far less confused. I was still confused, let's be honest. But I was less confused. So, I knew that the Mandalorian had to get Baby Yoda back to the guy that told him get the Mandalorian,
Yes.
to get the baby.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The bounty.
Yeah.
So, I knew that was the goal. And now I just had to fill in the middle now that I knew what the goal was. So I was doing better. And I had to watch this episode by myself, so I had nobody to ask these questions to. So the only things that I was confused about was like, first, why was the Mandalorian going to the Jawas like spaceship? What do you call that thing?
The Sandcrawler. You're talking about their little...
Yes, the Sandcrawler.
It doesn't do this. It just goes...
Right. So at first I was like, well, why does he care? Oh, okay.
So, I was going to see how long you were going to maintain that. But
Not very long.
Go ahead.
I have no patience. Why? Like, at first I was like, why did he care? And so then I thought, well, remember his arm and like his armor was all
Mhm.
messed up. So I thought, well, Jawas like trade stuff and they always have cool stuff. So maybe it was that.
So you
But
thought he was
then-
going to shoot them to get the stuff.
Right. I thought he was going to go on board their Sandcrawler, which I thought was a spaceship, and get the stuff, fix his armor, and then leave. But that was not the case.
Pause here for a second, too. I was not shocked when she was confused about this, because I thought this was a very simple understanding. They were tearing up his ship for parts. He wants to kill them for it.
I didn't know that. I didn't remember that.
But again, let me say this part too, as like weird and not in like observant that sounds to me. There's a very prominent Star Wars podcast I listened to that was confused about it as well until they talked through it. So I guess maybe it was like just not well done in the way it's filmed.
Well, I think because they had literally just shown, his armor being messed up and Baby Yoda trying to help him, and he kept putting Baby Yoda back. And
yeah, he never realized he was trying. He was just like, oh God, the baby's going back in there.
Right. So I don't know. I just thought that was all together. But then when they were like, oh, we can trade with you if you go get us this weird egg thing that has fur on it.
Well, you jumped a whole section there. The whole getting onto the Sandcrawler and all that.
Well, I didn't care about that. Because,
I do.
Oh.
Let's.
It
Okay.
was like fighting and.
But
Pew,
here.
pew.
This is what I love.
And there was like something that looked like Spider-Man.
This is what I love about this section that she just completely tried to skip over there. So instead of it just being, I disintegrated a couple of Jawas, and that's it.
Threw them off the spaceship.
We go on like it's not a spaceship, it's a sandcrawler. It's like think of it like a tank on sand. Actually, a lot of tanks go on sand. But anyway, I love this because we get to invest more in the world of the Jawas. Because all we know of them is they park their sandcrawler, they trade things for like machineries and parts. Right. They've traded droids. But now we actually get to see like him trying to scale the top of it, trying to get his parts back.
With his Spider-Man Spidey web.
It's called a grappling hook.
Okay, so who had it first, Spider-Man or Star Wars?
I would think grappling hooks have been around since like the medieval times. Anyway.
Thought that was Spider-Man.
Anyway, so he tries to scale the top of it, and you see it. The jaw was popping out the side. It was almost comical. It was like this, like hi, or I'm gonna push you down on this side.
But then when he was like, nope, you're dead.
Oh yeah, he took the one out and threw another. Yeah. Like there was a lot of death for Jawas in this one.
Yeah, but obviously, so they're not really.
Torn up about it because
I'm just thinking they don't have emotions, they don't have big brains, like they were just like, well.
It's part of their culture. They're just businessmen and women, I guess, and they just are like, fine, it's just another. Someone else had called it a collective mentality, where it's just like a worker bee type of thing.
The
where
greater
it's just
good.
Like, it's the greater good. It's fine. He's gone. We don't really care about it, so we're just gonna keep moving on.
Right, because there's more of us than there are of the Mandalorian, so we're fine.
But the cool thing is that we got to like see more of the sandcrawler. Eventually, we get to go inside the sandcrawler and see, the Mandalorian squished up in there, like trying to sit in there with them. We get to spend a lot of time with them, find out about maybe not necessarily culture, but just things about them we've never explored before. And I thought that was a very bold choice where they could have moved on to something else, but we're going to stay put on Tatooine. I think it is Tatooine. And we're going to, explore this part of it a little bit more here. And it was familiar. It was nice to learn a little bit more about this. So I really, this is like...
I can tell.
Top notch here. I really enjoyed this episode. And you liked it because it was a lot shorter.
It was way shorter. And there were far less questions. I didn't get into all that. Woo, this is great stuff.
Because we didn't add a lot of things into, like this.
So I did get confused at first, but Kyle explained, like, how Baby Yoda was just like, just flying along beside. I was like, why doesn't he leave? This is his opportunity. And then I forgot that he had that little Spidey web thing that like connected them.
No, there was no Spidey web. It was just a remote control thing.
Control.
Yes. So
doesn't Spider-Man have controls in his arm?
I guess. I don't know. I'm not Spider-Man. I don't know him on a personal level. I mean, yes, he's back there, but he's, it's more of a man crush.
The Mandalorian. I have so many concerns. The Mandalorian and Peter Parker seem very similar at this point in the show. So next, just hear me out. I've given 2 concrete examples of how they are similar.
Okay.
And 3, neither of them want their true identity revealed.
I don't know this necessarily...
Have we ruled out that this is like an Avengers mashup with Star Wars? What if this was Peter Parker under there? Like, have you thought about this? And this is like some kind of alternate universe where Doctor Strange like puts Peter Parker back in Star Wars time? I'm just saying, we have to not rule it out. It could be real.
So I'm going to move along.
After Endgame, everything is possible.
So I'm going to move along from that
one. Next.
Let's take a step back real quick. We saw some Trandoshans introduced at the beginning of this episode. The bounty hunters that were also coming for the baby, the little reptile guys, remember? Talked about them. So
never heard of that.
But for those of you that are a big Star Wars fan, having them included is a huge thing because they're a part of the lore and everything like that.
That's the thing that had that same tracker.
Yes, they also...
I don't know why I have this pen.
I don't know, just like wagging it at me.
That's the same thing that had the same tracker.
Yes.
So he wanted...
Because I think they're probably part of the guild, but they want the bounty for that thing. So
that they could get the reward money.
Yes.
But help me with this. I'm sorry, I'm just really confused.
I thought you weren't confused.
I didn't realize I was so confused till we started talking about it. So remember at the beginning or the middle or the end of last episode when he got the bounty with that robot guy?
Yes. IG-11.
And they have to...
Already forgot him.
They have to split the reward.
Uh-huh.
So if IG-11 is not with him when he turns in the reward, doesn't Mandalorian get all the reward? Or is he honest and takes it back? And what's a robot going to do with money?
Well, they spend it on credits for like parts for ships and things like that. It's a little bit different in the Star Wars world where robots are basically like more alive than they would be here on Earth, if that makes sense. That's why they're called droids and not robots, because they're different. Anyway, we're getting deep into things that is going to confuse her more. Let's come back to the story.
Can we come back to the rhino?
Okay, yes, that's where I want to go here.
Okay,
so, story leads us to that he has to go get the egg of this creature that looks like a rhino. A rhino or a mud rhino, or I think someone called it a mudhorn or something like that. But that's what he has to trade with them to get back his parts.
Yeah, to get back a heck of a lot of parts.
And so this was really cool to see just a really... Here I am holding the pen again. Put the
like
pen
magic.
away. He has to come and battle this creature.
That was a cool battle scene. I'm not even going to lie. I don't really like action stuff, but that actually was really exciting.
And something I've liked about this is because we think of this idea of the Mandalorian. Oh, he's so powerful and awesome.
He is not.
But he's been bested by the Jawas in some rights.
Right.
You know, he got kind of made look like a fool there in a funny moment.
Yeah.
And then he gets beaten by this creature. And it's almost like, I wonder if it's part of the Mandalorian warrior culture. Once you've been beaten, do you just accept your fate and take it? Because he like just kind of like stands there and waits for the creature to run him over, and then what happens?
No, he was waiting with his knife.
But like, what's that gonna do?
Stab him!
But
he can't go running at the thing.
Exactly, but like in the position he's in right there, it's like your last stand type of thing, as opposed to just accepting your fate, I guess I should say. But what happens? Sure.
Baby Yoda uses the Force with his 3 little claw fingers.
Does that creep you out? Little green, little claw fingers?
Yeah, they're like, ooh.
I'm gonna walk around and just like,
don't. Yeah. So that was like the first time we saw the baby use his Force. And then he had to sleep for like 12 years after it.
So the question is now, is this species, are they all Force sensitive? Like, do they have the ability to tap into the Force just naturally?
How many of these species are there?
Well,
like,
we know of 3
Yoda.
In Star Wars. There's Yoda. There was one called Yaddle. Don't worry about it. Just put that over there. We'll talk about it later. And then now Baby Yoda, whoever this is. And I thought, I think we all saw it coming, but to actually see it take place and him like, trying to concentrate to keep it.
My favorite thing was when that mud rhino was like running in the air. It was like, ah!
That was really funny too, but like...
See, I actually paid attention to this episode.
But then that little knife, he just like slams in the side of the
Okay, so that was the most unrealistic thing ever. Like, that really ticked me off. I was like, he didn't even hit a major artery. How could you take out the rhino like that?
Look, I know you think as a nurse that you know everything about every biological life form there is.
I don't think that.
You don't know where their arteries run.
But first of all, also, a knifing would not take you down that quickly. Think about people in the news that have been stabbed. Wow, you don't go down quick. It's a slow death.
This just got really, really morbid right now.
I'm just saying, don't kill rhinos with knives.
So he gets the egg, he gives it back to him, and this is where you and I have a little bit of difference here.
Yes.
And here's the thing. I think you could have gone a different ways before we see what they do with the egg. Why do they want the egg? Is it just some weird Jawa religious thing where they want to worship it? Or is it as simple as what happened is they open the egg up to the yolk?
I thought 2 things. I thought before they opened it, I thought, well, they're obviously going to nurture this egg and grow it into a rhino for themselves and use it as security. I really thought...
You could have gone so many different ways and it would not have sounded bad, but to use it as security? What are they doing? Raising up a generation of bodyguard rhino mud things? Like, what?
Yes, why do you make me sound so stupid when I talk about this? It made perfect sense.
You could have said
listen! Because the Mandalorian tried to attack them and they lost some of their Jawas. So I thought if they raised up this baby rhino mud thing to become their own and protect them, then people wouldn't kill the Jawas. Like, it made perfect sense. But then, there's more. Then I thought when they cracked open the egg, I was like, oh, well, obviously this is like eternal life. And if they eat it, they will never die. And it's kind of like, remember that movie in the book, Tuck Everlasting, where they drank the water and they would live forever? Let me, now that you rephrase that way, that say maybe because they eat it, they get some everlasting life. Maybe they believe that. Okay, I can get on board with that. But I simply just thought, this is just like the most tasty thing out there, and it's the most hard thing to get because of how dangerous this creature is that's going to protect its egg. This is Star Wars. There has to be more depth than that.
There absolutely could, but I truly think it was a delicacy, and it's very difficult to get, and the only one that they think is capable of getting it was a Mandalorian. because of their reputation and how powerful they are, or at least their prowess and able to get themselves out of sticky situations, which he almost didn't if it wasn't for Baby Yoda. So,
if you say so.
Anyway, he gets his parts back. He's off the planet, and we're off to our next adventure. So now the question is, what's your big question that you have going forward after this episode?
Why do they need the egg?
That's
that
gotta
is my biggest question.
That's
okay,
gotta be a
my
bigger
second
question.
Now what? Like, literally.
That I so thought it was gonna be a build.
No, just wait. Just
wait. Win.
Now, like, what's the Mandalorian's next battle? Because obviously he's not going to take his bounty and make it back home to wherever he has to take this on episode 3. Because we know there's 8 episodes of the season,
Chapter 3, excuse me.
Chapter 3. So obviously he's going to run into more troubles. So what's his next trouble? But
nobody knows the troubles. I'm sorry.
But really, I'm more curious about that dang egg.
Anyway, let's put the egg to the side. I don't think we're going to see the egg again for a while. I could be wrong, but...
You've been wrong before.
I have been wrong before, but I highly doubt it, and I think people will agree with me on that. My big question is like somewhat central on that is more the what happens next. More specifically, does he take the Baby Yoda straight back to where it's supposed to, or does he take some time to think about it? I wonder which is going to happen here. I feel like he's just going to take it straight back, and then there's going to be a change of heart. He's going to try to get it back because he finds out what they're going to do with the baby. And, that's...
What are they going to do with the baby? They're not going to kill the baby, are they?
I don't know. We don't know. That's what we're going to have to find out. That's a better question.
Wait, but the guys that he has to... The people that gave him the bounty to get...
Yes.
They're bad guys?
Yes, they were part of the old empire. Remember, the empire's dead. These are like remnants of the empire.
Oh,
now it's all come full circle now.
So then maybe he should keep Baby Yoda and run away. But they could kill him, right? If he doesn't bring back... And he steals the bounty.
Yeah.
Do they have trackers on the Mandalorian?
We don't know. We'll have to find out. So many questions.
I really have more questions now. So, okay.
And that's what makes a good show, though. So now we want to know from you, what questions do you have coming out of Chapter 2 for The Mandalorian?
Probably less than me.
No, there are a lot of things that you could ask here. Let us know down there in the comments section below what questions you have. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you vote in our poll as well. What else should they do?
Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of our videos.
And that's all we have for this edition of Eye to Eye. But until we assemble again,
may the Force be with you.
And we'll see you real soon.
Bye.